Hi, everyone. Welcome to our next session, which is Cleft Through Teenage Years, a Parent and Self-Perspective. So we are going to welcome to our stage our moderator for this panel, which is Katie Manning. Please remember to put your questions in the chat. I'm so excited to hear this. I'm a parent of a cleft child, and I was born with a cleft myself, and so I'm looking forward to what we can get from this panel. So welcome her to the stage, and she's going to be talking with Nish, Matilda, and Sue. Please put your questions in the chat, and let's get ready for a really great session.
Hey everybody, sorry about that. This platform is quite interesting to work with, so I just want to say welcome to our session, Cleft Through the Teenage Years, a Parents and Self-Perspective. So I'm Katie Manning, I'm the artist behind the 100 Cleft Portrait Collection, and I'm mum to a beautiful 18-year-old girl called Ella, who was born with a bilateral cleft lip and palate, and I am wife to Will, who was born with a unilateral cleft lip and palate. And I am joined today by these gorgeous women, Sue, Nish and Matilda, and we are going to share our experiences, perspectives on the cleft journey through the teenage years. And it's our hope through this conversation that we will create a space of truth, love, connection for you guys to be able to relate with us and our very much shared experiences. But because even though we all navigate cleft very uniquely, we also share an awful lot. We're going to have some time for questions at the end, and I'm going to try really hard to keep on top of all the important things to make sure you have a really good experience. So my lovely fellow speakers, would you like to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about yourselves before we get into our chat?
Sure. Should I go first?
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. This is Nishila. I'm an ambassador for Smile Train UK, and I'm a psychology graduate. I'm currently working within the healthcare, and I was born with a unilateral cleft lip, and I'm 25, so probably just a couple of years after teenage. So hopefully I'll remember quite a lot.
Amazing.
Matilda?
Thank you. Lovely to be here. My name is Matilda, and I have also been an ambassador for Smile Train UK for almost 10 years now. I'm almost 35, so I'm a wee bit further away from my cleft years. I currently work in branding and marketing, mainly in the beauty industry. I was born with a right unilateral cleft lip and palate, and deaf in one ear. And very excited to be speaking to you guys today.
And my name's Sue Morn. I have an 18-year-old son, Dan to me, who was born with a unilateral palate, bilateral cleft lip. And yeah, he's now 18, 6'4", rugby player. So very, very different to the little Dan that probably was on the picture of my profile that you saw with the green glasses on. So yeah, and I'm giving it from a perspective of a mum who's not long gone through the teenage years, is still going through the teenage years with him and its challenges.
I was going to say, Sue, they haven't stopped, have they? Because we're doing it together, same time. So thank you so much, girls, for introducing yourselves. And to kick us off tonight with our first question is a big one. I want to ask you, for your perspective on what stood out for you about cleft during your teenage years, and obviously for Sue and I, that's from a parent perspective. Who wants to kick that chunk off?
Oh, it's a big question.
Go, Matilda.
It's such a big question, and I feel like, you know, depending on the day of the week or the time of the day or the time of the month, I might have a different answer. But for the sake of today's answer, I think, yeah, I suppose my biggest memory reflectively of my teenage years with a cleft is actually probably a lot of isolation, and whether I did that to myself or I felt like society did it to me, I don't have the biggest answer. But for me, looking back at what I thought was my weakness of having a cleft is now I've found my strength and power in that. And it's I used to say to one of my friends who doesn't have a cleft, I was like, I used to feel like, having a cleft was like having like a crutch. It was something that needed to be fixed. It wasn't quite right. But now I feel like it's turned into something else. It's almost like what's for our American audience, like Captain American's shield. Like that's what it
Your
is.
superpower.
Yeah.
But Dan's experience has been very different. He's not yet found it as his superpower. He's still pretty angry about it all and going through the why me stage, and still continuing operations. He's just had an ear operation and will potentially have a nose operation in a couple of months, and he's still pretty angry about it most of the time. Doesn't want to talk about it particularly to anyone. Doesn't want to do anything like this. Would never at the moment would never do this. My hope is in the future he will find the strength to do it, but at the moment he's just a bit like, more time off school, more sports matches that I'm missing. And so, it's been, and he only really started recognizing it as an issue facially, or, conscious of it when he was about 15, I would say. So up until that point, he was still cute Dan, and he's still cute Dan to me, but, he was not really aware of it very much until his teenage years hit. And everyone goes through changes facially in their teens anyway, but he's still a bit angry about it sometimes.
I think for me it was more of a blur. To be fair, my teenage years were a blur. But having said that, as Matilda said, the isolation does kick in once you start meeting people and you start being more aware of your surroundings, and the way people react to you or your smile or how you look. I think that becomes a big part, especially in school or university. And I think, as like Sue said as well, similar to her son, I only recently started talking about my cleft. So only after I moved to the UK, that's when I started talking about my cleft. And I was probably 19, 20 around that time. Till then, that's the reason why I said it was a blur, because I never really spoke to anyone about it. So I think that acceptance took some time. But also, having this kind of platform to be able to share our experiences, I think is going to be quite helpful for everyone as well. So yeah,
it's so powerful to share our experiences, because then of course, like, sharing our experiences and talking about them in this way is the opposite of isolation, right? That's what we're trying to do with Virtual CleftCon, is share our vulnerability, share our truth, and hopefully create less feeling of isolation for people who are navigating that, which we have done. So right, what should we talk about next? Shall we talk about school, girls? Because I think school is a big one. I won't. Yeah. What? Did you just cheer? Ooh. What did you say? Right. So do you not want to talk about school?
No, I'm fine. Dan loves school. It's a safe place. But
I was going to say, pardon, go on.
I was just going to ask Sue, because you mentioned like Dan, first becoming aware, like kind of early teenage years. Was that when, like, did he move to that was when he moved to high school, was it? And was there like a new
he'd been to a school. He'd been in the same school education environment from nursery to the age 13. Then he changed to senior school. So up until that point, everybody knew his sisters. Everybody knew us as a family. It was a very much a safe place, and they'd known him, seen him, and grown up with him since a baby. So saw his changes and didn't really think there was anything different about it. Going to senior school, whole new group of people. Couple of questions, nothing. And actually, I asked him the other day whether he'd had anyone say, when he first went to school, ask him about it, and he said he just said, oh, he'd had an operation on his nose, like because his nose was misshapen, and but he never admitted that he had a cleft, and it wasn't until it was, he got to know some people, and he said, to be honest, most people didn't really ask too much about it. They, kids being kids, they just accept what he said and move on. He didn't really, luckily, he hasn't really had any sort of bullying or anything, which has been great. As I say, he's 6'4", very sporty. He's thrown himself into a sport, and that has been I think, his saving grace at school, because he just throws himself into that, and he's in a very much a team environment, and then he also has a friend who has from what I see, there's no facial differences at all, but obviously is very self-conscious about his own looks for whatever reason. So they have a very good friendship, and he's found that person that he can chat to about what he's going through and the differences that they have. So, but yeah, it was definitely more aware when he moved schools. Yeah.
It's quite interesting because for me, when I was in school, I did quite have a lot of questions asked. I think it was also because it was around that time where I had most of my surgeries and the recoveries and things like that. So, sometimes the scar is quite obvious at that age. So I used to get a lot of questions, and I think I was really tired of answering. And the fact that I needed to answer or justify, I think that was the biggest thing in school. But as you said, having like a safe space where you're not really judged by how you look, but mainly with your skills. I had that as well. So I used to play badminton, and that was one of my safe spaces where people used to acknowledge because of how I played. Or they would, like, even if I played bad, it was because of my skills, not because of how I looked. And that's something that can be changed. And I think at that point I was in like a really completely different mindset. I really did not like my cleft at that point. But after like you make one or two friends who actually don't even look at your cleft as defining you, but actually just focusing on you as a person, your personality, that definitely boosts my confidence, at least at that point. And that's when I started accepting it. But it's a really long journey, but there is an end to it. There is a tunnel at the end. Yeah.
Nish, did you ever do when, I don't know if it was available to you, like when I was probably younger teenage years, I grew up in Scotland, and there was like cleft summer camps, and my parents were like dying for me to go, and I honestly at the time I could not think of anything worse. I was like, I don't need to be like, I don't want to be associated with other, like I don't want this to be who I am, at the time. But I now wish I had gone. I think there is some, I've seen some like on socials, like of CCA kids and teenagers doing some amazing I don't know if they're calling it like summer camp or anything now, but yeah, I wish I had done that when I was a teenager. I think that would have got me out of my hole a lot faster, I think.
I think in the UK they do Clapper, which is our association for
yes.
They sort of run one.
Yeah.
Again, Dan couldn't think of anything worse at the moment. He couldn't, no way would he do that. But you never know. Maybe one day he'll go and actually talk to the kids there. That's my hope moving forward.
Yeah. I did wish I had something like that. To answer your question, Matilda, no, I didn't have a space like that. The first time I met someone with a cleft was when I was 20, when I came here, which was with
No
Smile
way.
Train. Yeah. So I basically did not see or even know anyone who looked even similar to me at that point. So that could have been a reason why I did feel a little different. But having said that, I think my parents did an amazing job with me, just because with my family, I never felt that I was a bit different. I'm sure everyone has different experiences with that as well. But for me, I was quite lucky because whenever I went to school, I would feel really isolated or very different. So I would like be closed up in my shell and not really talk. The teacher's pet. I used to be one of those
Oh, is
students.
that you?
Yeah, just sitting right next to the teacher's table. No attention to me, please, that kind of student.
Yeah.
But then after I came back home, I was like the complete opposite, like myself again. So I did wish I had someone who looked similar to me. And I think that's why these kind of platforms are really helpful for young
Mm.
people and for parents, because, you know, parents for the first time as well, they're having a child with a cleft. So it's quite difficult to navigate that.
Yeah.
Katie, did your daughter ever have any friends that she knew with cleft?
No,
No.
she had a dad, but
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
she had a dad, but interestingly, their experience of their journey is so different, and I think it's different for boys and different for girls. It's different.
Yeah.
You know, I think with social media and makeup and being a girl, I think it's really hard. And when her friends started getting boyfriends, that's, you know, something that she finds challenging. But for us, I think it started a lot earlier, that awareness of being different, which is interesting, Sue. But it started earlier in our house. I think it started pretty much as soon as she went into secondary school. It was COVID as well. Don't think that helped my family very much, with that isolation of that period of time, coming at quite an important time of, well, yeah, when you first go, I mean, it's a huge transition from a little primary school into a big comprehensive. And even if you haven't got anything that stands out about you, the corridors are scary. Like, you know, people move really quickly, they're really loud, there's like stuff going everywhere. So I think school can feel like quite a scary place. And obviously, like, I think children and teenagers and parents, like one of the notes I've made here is transition and change. There's so many changes through the journey, and everybody's always kind of adapting to them, aren't they? How do you feel? Like, if I was to say to you guys, if I say, you know, oh, we've got only 5 minutes, we just got a little warning, didn't we? So I can't go on too long. When did that warning come? That warning might have come 5 minutes ago, actually.
I definitely wanted to quickly talk about, if we've only got a short time left, because we could talk about this for ages, but about the whole relationships and teenagers and meeting other girls and boys, and you know, that's definitely been a thing that we're trying to navigate now. And you know, all those feelings that are scary anyway when you're doing it, but when you're worried about,
also completely normal.
Like, how am I going to kiss? Am I going to kiss in the same way as someone else? That's a question I had from Blessing.
So we've spoken about this briefly, haven't we, Nish? That we felt quite similar, even though we're slightly different in age. We felt that when we were teenagers, we actually didn't think it was an option for us, and it was, for me anyway. I have a twin sister who is not cleft affected. I think she had 5 boyfriends before we even left school. And I was like, oh my God, like, I'm going to end up alone, and that's fine. I'm going to have cats. I'm going to have a great life.
Mad cat woman.
I'm with having cats. But yeah, for me, it never felt like it was an option. And like, kissing someone for the first time was absolutely terrifying. But I remember speaking to my twin, and she was equally as terrified for kissing someone. She did it way before me, but she was still scared of kissing someone for the first time. But there was a different, like, pressure, and we put pressure on ourselves, right?
I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, it kind of comes from within, because we're so used to like looking different that we start thinking things like, I'm pretty sure not many people really will come up to you and say, oh, you've got a cleft. It's more like, oh, I feel like people are gonna come and say it. And I think that's the same with dating, because I always thought that wasn't an option, just because what would the other person say, or like, how would I bring it up in a conversation, or do I need to bring it up in a conversation? I think all of those things, right? It's quite confusing, and I think that's completely fine. It's just more about communication, talking it out, and
easier for girls, and boys maybe a bit like, oh, I've got to actually have that conversation.
I do. When I met Will, he wasn't a teenager, but I just thought he was absolutely gorgeous. Like, literally, that was it. I didn't even know, and I don't want to diminish the cleft experience, being raising Ella and everything that we experienced at all. but I literally just thought he was absolutely gorgeous, and I didn't even really notice it. And that's why I say I don't want to diminish that experience, but I didn't, because I just thought his energy and the way he spoke and his eye contact and like his personality, I just thought, oh,
Eye contact. I always
Eye
get that.
contact, yeah.
Every cleft-affected person I speak to, I swear we've got magic eyes.
yeah, you do. This is true.
Yeah.
I've drawn loads of them. It's
The
a
number of
fact.
compliments I've got on my eyes, honestly.
Yeah.
Funny that you mentioned COVID, Casey, because I found, I can't even imagine going through that as a teenager, like horrendous. But because of my deafness as well, which is connected to the cleft, I didn't fully realize how much I relied, one, on lip reading pre-COVID, but also just connecting through the eyes, because it was actually a communication tactic for them to not look anywhere else, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like lock them in with your eyes so they don't look down.
Yeah, lasers.
Yeah. Oh God.
Well, I feel like we've come to a natural end. So
we've just
we do questions now, Sue.
any questions? Any questions in the chat? There's been loads of comments, and thank you everyone for your comments and your support. It's been
There's a question on the screen actually.
Okay, we're going to shift to our questions now.
Okay, as a fellow cleft mum, do you have any reservation about sharing your son's story without him being ready or willing to? He has always known that I've been an advocate for smart training, just because I mean, over the years I have climbed mountains for it, I've fundraised a lot for it, I have spoken a lot about it in my journeys and my treks going abroad, and I always check with him. I always ask him if he's happy for me to do it, and although he would never want to do it himself, he is happy for me to share his story. I would definitely wouldn't have done it without his permission.
Honestly, Sue, I'm telling you now, he will thank you for this later. I promise you.
Yeah, I think hopefully in the years to come he'll be doing one of these. But just to sort of see me, it's not a big for me. Obviously, it's not a big thing for me, and I hope it won't be for him at some stage. But yeah, always check with him, and even photographs, anything I put on social media. Not that I'm big on social media, but if I even put family pictures on, I would. He needs to check that he's happy with what's going out for sure. Yeah.
Love that.
Okay. Do you think that talking about your cleft more as a child would have made your teen years easier to process? Ooh, that's a difficult one. I feel like it would be a 50-50, just because I think, yes, talking more about my cleft as a child, I think it would have been a different experience to now, definitely, because if I had a friend with a cleft and I talked to them about it, then maybe yes. But I feel like at that age, if I were still talking to someone else without a cleft about it, I don't think that would have made a difference for me personally. Just because I feel like I needed that relatability more than anything. And I've definitely spoken to it with some of my friends before when I was younger. It's just I don't remember it as much because it wasn't as impactful for me. And that's why I feel like if I had someone who I knew who had a cleft, then definitely I think that would have made a big difference. Just in my own self-confidence, I feel like that would have come a bit earlier than when it has at the moment. But yeah, I think that's what it was for me.
That makes sense.
Is there any other questions?
Oh.
Ooh. Matilda, do you want to take this one?
Sorry, I don't have my glasses on, so I need to come back.
What is good advice for both youth and adult cleft-borns that they need to continuously learn without having
with having a cleft?
Oh, with having a cleft. What is good advice?
Great question. And I think for when I was listening to our mums, Sue and Katie earlier, like the questions, especially when you're a teenager, my parents were very they didn't equip me with the knowledge or information. I knew that I was different. I had non-cleft affected sisters, and I went to all these appointments, had all these difficult decisions to make and difficult things happening, and I just didn't have the information, and that was really that I lost my power through that, because every time that I was questioned or challenged, it was, oh, like, I don't know. Why don't I know? This is about me. So,
Mm,
I would say, arm yourself with information, and I'm still learning. I've got a cleft and I'm still learning about clefts.
mhm.
So yeah, have information, and try even when you're a teenager to be open-minded.
Yeah.
Try.
Yeah, I think it's also really important to say, especially these days with mental health being a big issue, big thing, it's okay to reach out if you do feel
Yeah.
like you can't talk to someone. There are so many numbers. I'm sure Smile Train and even smaller charities, I'm sure they'll have like some kind of place you can contact, or even any one of us. We all have Instagram as well, so please feel free to like reach out to us and have a good chat, because that helps a lot. Trust me, it helps a lot.
Yeah, I always had like pen pals throughout the
Yeah.
years. That's where social media actually really helped me when I was
Mm,
growing up. And
mm.
a lot of my pen pals I've never met, which is mad. But yeah, that always helped me, definitely.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember those days. I remember talking to plastic surgeon about, oh,
Oh,
that's so cute.
oh.
That's definitely something Dan has questioned about, and I think we've had a question recently about having fillers in
Yeah.
people
Oh
specifically
yeah.
doing fillers for cleft patients, and
Mm,
the dangers, pros and cons about that. But
yeah.
making kissable lips is definitely
I'm personally all for fillers. I would have nothing. I would have nothing otherwise. So I'm pro fillers, but I would say if you're going to do it, do your research.
Yeah. And I think for
Don't
me,
touch the mole and do it. Go do
yeah,
your research.
sorry. I think I would say for me, I would not want to do it. I just like mine how it is, you
Yay!
know.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So, yeah.
We're definitely having the filler conversation in our house, Sue, so maybe we should continue to talk.
Well,
yeah.
well, please come. I know
Just me and you then, Katie. Nothing to do with our kids.
Excellent. Matilda will tell us where to go.
Yeah. You just come around to my house. I know people. Yeah.
Is the medical care in the UK similar as here in the States? Okay. We have an amazing system here in the UK. Well, I don't know that you're specifically talking about lips, but the NHS, our national health system, takes care of all of our operations for cleft. If you're born with cleft down, we found out in 20 weeks, and every operation has been very clearly scheduled with a team of multifaceted team for Dan's care, and will continue until he's 19 years old. So we're just hoping to get this last nose operation done under the same cleft team within a hospital called Great Ormond Street, which is a big children's hospital in London. We are phenomenally grateful. One of the reasons that we support Smile Train is that the money that we would have had to spend on Dan's care would have been huge, and so to be able to give that to other people is absolutely one of the reasons that it came on our radar, and I do what we do to raise awareness. So yeah, every penny is worth it for sure.
I think I think the other good thing is because I came from abroad as well. I still went to my GP, and they were still gonna be able to refer me to like a maxillofacial team as
wow.
well. So that's quite good, especially like talking about like the nose surgery and things like that. Even though you were not born in the country, but you're still living here later on in life, the fact that you still have that option of getting back into adult cleft care is also quite good in the UK, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
So good.
You do.
Yeah,
Now, I'm really sorry to cut our conversation, but we've got to wrap it up, guys.
Oh.
We could really talk all night.
Yeah.
I know we could, but I just want to say thank you very much
Yeah, thank you all.
Thanks for being here, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much for speaking. That was wonderful. I actually took a bunch of notes, and there's so much of what you ladies said that I relate to. It's being cleft affected myself, and also having my daughter. Magic eyes truly exist. And then I loved, Matilda, when you said arm yourself with information. If you go to the lobby, we do have a resource page so you can get more of that information. But thank you so much again. That was truly, truly amazing. And we are going to close out, and we're going to move to our next session, which will be post, filter, repeat, cleft affected teens on social media and self-image. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye.